Well, hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Movie News here at MBE. Just like to thank you for joining us once again on our YouTube channel and of course on our Twitch stream as well. I'm joined, as you can see, as ever, with John C. Walsh, and we're here to talk about movies in general, a little bit of TV as well.
Still in the shite corner set up, Steve.
Yeah. Do you want to explain that one, John?
Yeah, one of the lights has failed, and I can't get a fuse, so we're stuck in this sort of crappy corner.
We're back in 2017, John.
Yeah,
but
back in time.
You probably guessed from that thumbnail and that headline. It's first Dune footage arrives. Full trailer drops tomorrow, of course. I'm sure we'll be covering that trailer. Maybe I won't, but I'm certainly sure you will be, John.
Oh, yeah.
I'll throw you under the bus. But Warner Brothers has released a teaser for director Denis Villeneuve's Dune ahead of tomorrow's trailer reveal. Now, I watched this, John. I know you've watched it. It is a teaser trailer, or trailer teaser, I should say. It's very, very short.
It's very Suicide Squad.
You actually said, and it's from
the
the actual image, it looks very Bohemian Rhapsody with the heads and the black background. It certainly does. But we have our first official look at some footage from Dune. We're not going to play it because we don't want to get a strike. Director Denis Villeneuve.
I'll just bring up the graphic. Hopefully it looks good.
Is the latest filmmaker to take crack at author Frank Herbert's timeless classic sci-fi novel, following in the footsteps of others before him such as David Lynch. Well, the full trailer is coming our way tomorrow. Warner Brothers has released an epic teaser, it's hard for me to say, that gives us our first glimpse at Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides? Something like that. Unsurprisingly, the A-list cast is a major highlight in this initial teaser, John. Now,
yes. Stephen, there we go. We're getting the intro again. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Sums my day up.
What did you think of the teaser trailer?
It was cool.
Yeah,
it was cool for what it was. Just introducing the main players in the story. Of course, we have your man Timothée Chalamet playing Paul Atreides, and we have just a cool little quote, Stephen, as you've seen there. Fear is a mind killer. Fear is a little death that brings total obliteration. And that's the sort of... Stephen, as you know, I started reading this book. It was a terribly written book that just, for me, I know some people hate Tolkien. I love Tolkien. Just the writing technique threw me off. It was too convoluted. People saying you have to go and read the summary at the end and then go back and reread it. I ain't get time for that shit. So I bailed on it, to be frank. But what I did get at the start was the whole concept of fear. I think it's some pointer thing that he puts his finger in. It consumes people with fear. If you pass that test, then you're destined to be great or something like that. He passes it. And then it's just this whole concept of going to this desert. Arrakis, again, don't know much about the story, but I'm excited for it. Akaris, I think it is. Desert planet. Fear's just a sort of thing that happens in this. It covers a whole lot of different genres and stuff like that, and satirical subjects, the likes of climate change. I think gender fluidity might be in there as well. Something about that. Lord knows, he was ahead of his time, this guy. But yeah, man, I thought it was okay for what it done. It gave us a little insight to the characters. Super excited for the full trailer tomorrow. You see exactly what the hell Denis got in store for this movie, because this is going to be... People are saying a sort of combination of The Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars meets other big sci-fi fantasies. It's a big bombastic movie with huge visual set pieces, huge CGI worms coming out of the sand and whatnot. We better get one of the worms. Stephen, we have got comments here as well.
It's Cairo Boy from Dundee.
He's from Dundee.
Just up the road. Yep. Last time I was in Dundee was for...
Hope you're a Dundee United fan, Cairo, if you're a fan of football.
Was the North of Tay Amateur Cup final at Dens.
Never been in Dens.
I live streamed that for you, John. You actually got into an argument with someone.
Yeah, I slagged the stadium off. Shit. That bench stand, it's an Archibald Leach stand. But
he does say he just wants to see the Mando Season 2 trailer.
So
why God, why? But
they delayed it, Stephen.
It's got to be one of the most anticipated trailers this year, I think. You know, the first one as well last year. Was it last year? We had a large crowd waiting to obviously see our video for that one, because I think they thought we were on the red carpet for it, which we weren't. We were in this room talking about it.
2,000 people waiting for a live show. Yeah. That was interesting. I couldn't watch it.
It's a car crash.
Yeah, it was a pre-recorded live show and I couldn't watch it.
Yeah.
I bailed.
But
I walked my dog.
Getting back to the trailer, John, Do you think? Do you think this is the way to go now with these teaser trailers? We saw it with the Suicide Squad. We saw it with the Irishman.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes these teasers can piss people off a bit because they expect so much and get so little. But it is just a teaser.
Yeah.
It's a teaser but where do you draw the line? Do we start getting a teaser for the teaser and keep going?
Well, Steve, we got that with The Godfather, with that ridiculous bullet trailer.
The Irishman.
The Godfather. I'm telling you, man. I've done weight training just before this show. I'm sweating like an absolute... I can't say. But I'm very sweaty. I've had a very, very ridiculously hard day today. And I'm just ready.
Hard day's night.
Yeah, I'll not go there. I'm ready to go off the edge, man. So I'm hoping to get through this show without any more mistakes. The Godfather. Jesus Christ, man. The Irishman, Stephen, you're right. That bullet trailer, man, ridiculous.
We reacted to that because we were so excited. Yeah,
it was a joke.
Yeah, and we were waiting so long for it. But yeah, it was what it had to be. They don't have to put these things out. You've got to remember that. We could just wait another day. It's really just to sort of build the suspense for the actual... These things are becoming an event now. Well, you see it because there's a lot of YouTubers out there doing reactions as a living, you know, because it's such a big deal these days.
We're doing the Indian market at the moment.
Yeah.
Because people have recommended trailers and that's what we do.
Yeah, so
we like to appease people. That's the whole name of the game, really. And look, man, I'm not averse to reacting to trailers. You'll see it tomorrow. I'll probably react to this one way or the other. And I cannot wait to see it, Stephen. I thought, look, as what it is, it's a precarious balance with the whole promotion of a movie, but they've not seen anything of this movie, the fan base, and people are very excited to see it, to see what Denise brought.
Yeah.
Because we had, I think it was David Ayer, or I'm pretty sure it was Ayer in the early 2000s. There's been a couple of adaptations of this story, and they fell flat. Yeah. And it's such a promising story. My experience with the book aside, there's a wealth of storytelling there. I thought it was just one book. There's about 12, maybe more books. So this has the potential to go on and be a franchise if it's handled correctly. That's why people are so excited for this trailer, because if he gets a buzz like obviously Matt Reeves got with the Batman, and it just explodes, it's trending at number 1 or whatever that movie trailer was trending at, it could make or break this movie's success later in the year. It could make or break people's desire to go into a theatre, perhaps in the middle of a pandemic still. I think it will be, sadly. Don't think it's going anywhere come December.
Yeah.
But I'll still be there. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, John. Yeah. It's one of my most anticipated films of 2020. It's an event film, you know, and it's long overdue. It has been confirmed that it's going to be split into 2 parts. Is that correct? I think the director's confirmed that's what he wants. But I don't know whether or not that's true or not.
Well, Stephen, there's so many books. I mean, there really is. So you could do a mini-series of stories in a separate sort of HBO thing.
Yeah.
You could do a franchise of movies, as I said. So sky's the limit. I would like to see more than 2. But it depends on how good this one is first.
Well, that's
and
true.
whether Denis wants to tie himself into multiple movies. Because he's a man who likes to tackle, much like Nolan, interesting sort of standalone concepts. Yeah. He's not a man for sequels. He bailed on Sicario famously, didn't he? So
that's true. Yeah. But listen, we'll wait for that for tomorrow. We'll get the reaction out as soon as. Can't wait to see it. See what the director brings to the table. But we'll have to wait 24 hours for that.
Cairo, I do agree with you. Trailer reactions on our guilty pleasure as well.
Great.
Should we still go back and watch that Force Awakens?
Oh, that's
amazing. Rejects trailer.
Yeah, that's amazing.
When Greg Alba gets out the shower.
Yeah, he was sweating right at the time.
right. Until Mark Ellis outed him as Greg Alba.
That's right. Yeah, but we'll move on anyway. We're going to stay on Star Wars, John.
Yes.
The Mandalorian Season 2 first look photos reunite Mando and Baby Yoda. Now, I know you've got an opinion on Baby Yoda in a moment, John. Nothing against the creature personally or anything like that. But Cara Dune, Grief Karga and Baby Yoda feature in a handful of new images that provide our first look at the second season of The Mandalorian.
Just
now, John, one thing I did notice about these shots, there's not any action shots or anything like that. It's more still poses,
Love
if you like.
That magazine sort of.
The Entertainment Weekly one, it's fantastic. Yeah. It almost looks like Baby Yoda's carrying a ghetto blaster there. That sort of angle he's sitting at there. But I'm going to just read a little bit of this article coming in from movieweb.com. It's just a handful of images to reintroduce us to a few of the beloved
looks good there.
characters, including Gina Carano's Cara Dune, Carol Weathers as Grief Karga, Pedro Pascal as Din Djarin, also known as the Mandalorian. I
didn't know that was his name.
No, I didn't know that. And of course the hugely popular Baby Yoda, known in the show as the Child. While the images are not particularly action-packed, they do serve as a gentle reminder of the quality of the show's first season. They certainly do, and should help fans reach peak excitement and anticipation of the Mandalorian's imminent return. I'm struggling with my words tonight. So there's a few tweets out there. The first look at Mandalorian Season 2 has just been released. This is from Discussing Film. You're right, Carl Weathers looks cool as F there, John.
It does, doesn't it?
But there's this bit in the article that I really like, John. It's just mentioning Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and I'm just going to read this bit out because it's great. It's great to understand their relationship and whereabouts each other are on the pecking order at Lucasfilm. So the Mandalorian writer Jon Favreau and his advisor Dave Filoni of Star Wars The Clone Wars have been discussed how they approach the show when it comes to all things related to Star Wars canon. Quite simply, we didn't overthink things, Filoni said. George started with these very iconic characters whose relationships are very clear, and then introduced what's at stake for us. The fate of the child, says Filoni. An audience tends to enjoy a story by sticking to the tropes and characters they understand, like a gunslinger in the Old West. Yep. So it's a clear story and a fun adventure, even if you've never seen anything in Star Wars universe. Favreau holds Filoni's Star Wars expertise in high regard and awaits his approval before moving forward with any ideas. I'll come up with the ideas, and sometimes Dave will say, you can't do that in Star Wars. Yeah. Favreau said, then I'll cite examples from the movies or the Clone Wars to try to use as justification. I am like a lawyer talking to a judge. I am to him as he was to George. I won't do anything without Dave's approval, and to his credit, he understands that Star Wars needs to be fun and ever evolving. That's a great snippet there, John.
Stephen, I want to see these two guys taking over Lucasfilm and taking over the care holder position, if that's even a thing, of Star Wars, the brand. Kathleen Kennedy has to bugger off. She's made an absolute joke out of Star Wars now. It had an aura about it. We spoke about it before. The toys, merchandise, whatever you want to call it, the brand itself. Yeah, it was an event. Going to see a Star Wars movie that didn't come out every year. No, not like Marvel. We spoke about it. I think we're contradicting ourselves now in hindsight. We wanted to see 2 Star Wars movies a year at one point.
That was after the Force Awakens.
Yeah, after the Force Awakens. But it doesn't work.
Rogue One, because those 2 films were actually decent.
Yeah, they were okay, but it just doesn't work, Stephen, and it's played out to prove that over the last couple of years with The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, Solo. It just doesn't work. Star Wars is unique. It has to be an event movie every 2-3 years, at a minimum 2, probably 3 preferably. You need to get people who understand the mythology, people who understand the brand, who are sort of like Filoni, the underlings of George Lucas. That guy's passed on his wisdom to this man. And you see it there, Favreau saying he will not do anything in the TV show without his blessing, if you like. And I think that's key to getting Star Wars back on an even keel, getting it back to what it was before, which is pretty damn good. And I don't know, just consuming TV, consuming movies.
John, this new thing, the High Order, is it's called? I can't remember what it's called. The thing that Yoda's going to be included in. Is this the thing that that female directors sort of...
The High Republic?
High Republic, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's just a novel series, I think. Yeah. But it'll expand out to movies and TV. They're not doing it for nothing, Stephen. No, I think the is that the all-female TV show you're talking about?
I'm not sure
I ain't got a clue about that setting.
Do you know, really this is where Star Wars is just now for me, John, and it probably is for the same for yourself, that there was a point where I would see an article with 2 words in it, Star Wars, and I would read the whole article because I was so engrossed in the whole franchise, seeing what they were doing next, where they were going to take the story, different period and stuff like that. But when I see Star Wars now, I don't have that same kind of enthusiasm. That's been taken away. Yeah. I'm not saying that, and I don't mean that in a sort of...
I still love getting back and
watching. That man baby thing that Ryan Johnson said. And I don't mean it in that sense. You know, it's lost its edge for me, you know, and it's going to take a lot to get me back. The Mandalorian, the first season, was fantastic. I really liked it, John. I just wish the episodes were a little bit longer. Yeah, because
that's something I want to see dealt with in this second season. I want to see them slowly, maybe incrementally increasing the length of the episodes. I don't think they will. They've found success with this short form storytelling. It's Stephen, we almost compared it to EastEnders meets Star Wars. In parts it was sitcomish. Yeah, it felt small in scale, little bursts of action in these sort of claustrophobic town settings. It felt like sort of Albert Square meets Star Wars.
Yeah.
But it was good. I enjoyed it. But they've seemed to have cracked it with this short form, so I don't think they will go back to
I don't think they will, John. You're absolutely right. The other thing as well is where this baby Yoda thing's going to carry on to now. Because I think...
Should chuck it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you next, John. Because I think the character kind of overshadowed slightly the Mandalorian to an extent, possibly in the later episodes. And they want to carry, obviously, that...
well, Favreau says there, Stephen, it was the sort of significant plot point and the overarching plot point in the first season. Baby Yoda, his safety. But if you continue that into the second season, it just becomes a continual presence in the story, then it's going to lack edge.
Yeah.
It's going to... People will lose interest eventually. It was a gimmick. People bought into it. I thought he was cool as hell, I have to say. First time I seen a little guy in that hovering pod, it was cool. But I'm starting to get bored with him now. I just want to see Pedro Pascal's Dijon, did you say?
Yeah.
The Mandalorian. I want to see him doing action, wreaking utter chaos, blood, guts, scores, the lot. I want to see him taking down more machines like that IG unit. I want Boba Fett in this story, which was alluded to that he will be coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen, I do agree with the comment. I mean, Clone Wars Season 7, just Clone Wars in general was magnificent. It really was. It was well crafted. It started off a little bit dodgy for me, personally, but it get better and better and better the later seasons. The standard of writing, Filoni just understands Star Wars. Yep. The guy's got an innate connection with the
John,
mythology.
You've got to admire the guy. You've got to admire the guy as well, because he's taken a period that was spoke about from the very first film in 1977, the Clone Wars, and there would have been a lot of pressure on him to make sure he hit the ground running. Possibly and arguably, people might say it got better, obviously, as the seasons moved on. But it had to start somewhere, and the pressure on him from George Lucas would have been immense as well. So I just like the guy's mannerism. I think he's he comes across as laid back, but I'm pretty sure he's very intense when he's working. But his passion and his love for the franchise as well. He grew up. He's basically George Lucas's son. He's his adopted son. And he just wants to really carry that franchise in the right direction. Yeah. The way that he sees George would have, if he continued on.
Stephen, I think he's just completely changed the way I view the prequel trilogy too, because there wasn't enough Clone Wars action. There wasn't enough going on between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and he, in a sense, filled the gaps in. We got more of that relationship, more of what made them tick. When you go back and watch the prequel trilogy now, you understand why there's that sort of camaraderie, the chemistry that's there. Why you're like a father to me, or you know what I'm talking about, and why it stung Obi-Wan so hard when his Padawan or his apprentice turned to the dark side. Yeah, and that's why Stephen, man, we speak about this from time to time when we talk about these characters. That great sort of video that was put together, highlights of the prequel trilogy interspersed into Alec Guinness's Ben Kenobi conversation with Luke in the homestead. And you can see the pain, and it showed you the nuance and the brilliance of the man. He was able to inject that into the character without not having a clue about what Lucas was talking about with this character, his past. When you inject that those little scenes from the prequel trilogy with the relationship, it adds so much more to it. And that is what Filoni's done for me with the prequel trilogy as a whole, just with the Clone Wars and everything in general. He's upped the game. That's why the movies felt so crap to me, because they lowered the game. Kennedy was agenda-driven. She didn't have a clue about Star Wars. She admitted that when she says there was no canon, no written material to mine out of. Absolute bullshit. I read ridiculous amounts of novels.
Timothy Zahn's
not all of them were good, but I did read a lot of novels, so there was stories there to mine out of. So that showed their ignorance. But hopefully she'll be gone soon. Yeah,
but we'll look forward to Mandalorian Season 2 when it does hit small screens on Disney Plus. John, we're going to stay with Disney Plus. Yeah. Because Mulan was released, obviously, last Friday.
Still not seen
Thursday, Friday, can't remember. I think it was Friday, can't remember. Mulan release causes Disney Plus downloads to spike by 68%. Wow. Disney's live-action remake of their beloved classic Mulan caused Disney Plus downloads to spike by 68% when it's released on platform this weekend. Now,
when it
last weekend.
Yeah,
that's worded a bit wrong there. But Disney's
Unless
live.
It came out at the weekend. No, 19 hours ago.
Yeah, it could be an updated report, John. Yeah. This is obviously from Screen Rant. We are very much on the pulse when actors die, right enough. But Disney's live-action remake of Mulan caused Disney Plus downloads to spike by 68% this weekend when it debuted on the streaming service. Mulan, which was originally intended to hit theatres in March 2020, was previously announced to be released on Disney Plus in September, skipping a theatrical run entirely. The film has met with a warm reception from critics, currently resting at 77% fresh critical ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. Potatoes.
Sword shop.
So what is your view on this, John? Because I think you posed the question months and months ago, whether or not this was the right decision to make from Disney Plus, and I think we both agreed it was it had to be done, and it was as a big a risk as it was going to be. I think this film's supposed to come out in March, and 6 months down the line it still wasn't. So it seems to have paid off for them, for now anyway, with that 68% spike. Whether or not that will continue is another thing, John, because this is, you download it and you own it, so you're only going to get that one-off sort of...
Stephen, it's an absolutely fair price for this movie. Yeah. This was a movie which was intended for a theatrical release. COVID struck, and just the situation in general worldwide has obviously made that an impossible situation to play out going into a theatre. I don't know why, because obviously we've got Tenet out now, we've got New Mutants out now, but we spoke about New Mutants. It's a canary down the mine, they don't really care about it. They have also just highlighted this, they realise that there's an opportunity here to test the waters, much like what Universal done with Trolls A World Tour, to test how movies are going to, of this ilk, are going to fare on VOD, perhaps for future releases. Stephen, I've spoke about it numerous times over the last 3-4 months or something during this pandemic, that where I see the future of film being after this whole thing goes away, we will never get back to the theatre going experience as it was prior, i.e. smaller to medium-sized movies which aren't part of a greater franchise getting a long stint in theatres at the box office. They will most likely go onto VOD, onto streaming. Bigger movies, big franchise movies, event movies from big directors, they will still get seen in theatres like it is and like it was before. But for me, the smaller budget movies, the animated movies, things like this, which could perhaps go one way or the other, out with China, they will go into something like this for rental VOD. Yeah. It's still releasing in the theatres in China, Stephen. I've not got a clue how it's done. I don't know if it's out over there yet. There's a lot of competition in China. I think it's the 800 is a big local movie over there, which is just tearing it up. It actually beat out Tenet last weekend. Tenet's out as well, so I don't know if they're boxing clever and waiting until Nolan's movie's out the way. Perhaps it's come to the end before they release it. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting to see that they have rolled the dice on this and it seems to have paid off for them, because, I mean, it's 68% increase in downloads. It can't be for Hamilton. It's been out for donkeys now. It has to be linked to Disney's Mulan. And I'm sort of heartened by the response from critics. 77%, that's actually above Tenet just now on Rotten Tomatoes, which is a joke to me. But hey ho, we'll get into that at some other point, perhaps when we get round to reviewing this. Lord knows when that will be, Stephen. It will be some point, maybe in the next month or so. It doesn't even matter, but we will review it at some point. And I'll also be able to speak my mind on it. I don't know if you've seen it yet. I haven't seen it, John, as of yet.
I downloaded it on Friday night. I saw the first 10 minutes of it because my daughter was watching it. And I've just not had the chance to, because obviously we went to see Tenet on Sunday. Obviously we were doing our review last night, so I've not had the chance, but I will have I'm going to have plenty of time in my hands over the next 3 or 4 weeks anyway, so I will get round to watching it and giving my honest opinion on the film. I'm looking forward to it. From what I've seen visually, it looks absolutely stunning the way it's been shot. The colour tones and the palette are just amazing, and they've changed it. It's not a traditional sort of musical animated movie. No. They've took a lot of the musical numbers out. It's a more serious movie. And I like the look of it, man. I did like the look of it from the get-go, from the first trailer. I says I would watch it, and I will watch it. Yeah. The political leanings of the lead actress aside, I don't agree with half the stuff she's saying, I have to say. No, but police brutality and stuff like that, that's kind of silly tough for me, but look, I don't really care. I'll watch a movie regardless. You know what they say about an opinion? Yeah, everyone's got one. Yeah. So, and like something else. But we'll move on, John, anyway. We'll certainly be putting a review out for Mulan at some point over the next month or so. Looking forward to it. But we're going to move on to our next articles. Netflix has no plans to expand into sports or live news. Netflix CEO Reed Hastings has confirmed that the future of the streaming service will continue to focus on film and television for the time being. Streaming giants Netflix currently has no plans to expand its streaming content into the realm of live news or sports, says CEO Reed Hastings, as battle continues to be waged for dominance over the ever-evolving streaming market. The need to stay one step ahead of the competition has arguably never been greater for Netflix. However, in a recent interview with Variety, Hastings was asked about his new book, No Rules, Rules, Netflix and the Culture of Reinvention, in which the streaming maverick declares that Netflix won't be home to live news or sports. When asked about new content, Hastings maintained that every last cent of Netflix's current budget is dedicated to building up bigger and better film and television productions. Now, there is a quote from him here, and he says, "I doubt news, but sports, video gaming, user-generated content. If you think of the other big categories, someday it could make sense. But right now, Ted," that is of course the CEO and Chief Content Officer Ted Sarandos, got every $1 billion earmarked for bigger movies, bigger series, animation of course, at least for the next couple of years. Every content dollar is spoken for. Now, this is obviously got to be in relation to the likes of the release of Disney Plus, John, Apple TV, etc., Amazon Prime, whatever it's called. I can't remember what that channel's
Amazon
called.
Prime, Hulu.
You can understand why the chief content officer wants to earmark every dollar into bigger movies, bigger series. That's good to hear, because I think the way that Netflix has been going for the last 2 or 3 years has been outstanding, John. They've really exceeded my expectations and what they produce for their subscribers. You're talking about big names, big Hollywood names that are tied into original content. Some of them, or most of them, are successful. We've reviewed a few of them, thoroughly enjoyed them, and it just seems that the quality of their production just seems to be getting bigger and better every year. And to read that quote is music to my ears, because I'm a big Netflix fan. I've been a loyal subscriber to them since over a decade now. So I am looking forward to seeing where they go next. And I'm when it comes to things like live sports and stuff like that, traditionally it's not their thing, it's not their market, but things change. Netflix did start out as a rental to, I think it was competition with Blockbuster Video at the time, and look where they are now. So it's natural for big companies, successful big companies, to evolve eventually. Yeah,
Stephen, look at us. As the entertainment industry and media in general evolves into the digital side of things, away from analog, all things in the end move over to digital. We've seen it with music. It used to be records, and then it was like, what the hell was it? Cassettes, and then it was mini discs, cassettes, then CDs, and then it just went over to streaming. Or just buying in general. Now it's streaming, it just dominates. And we're seeing that transition with movies. A lot of people, traditionalists, the likes of Nolan and Spielberg, are fighting hard against it, but it's inevitable. It's like Thanos. It was Thanos who says at the end, "I am inevitable." This is inevitable. And as they evolve and the industry evolves and the whole streaming service thing evolves and the battle between all of these big, huge companies gets harder and harder fought, then you will see the likes of Netflix and maybe not Netflix, but I'm sure the likes of Amazon already have some Premiership, English Premier League games down south that they perhaps stream on Boxing Day or something like that. I think they have the entire fixture list for one weekend. So that's already started to happen with Amazon. I don't know if I'd want to see Netflix going down that route. I think I'd prefer them as just to be a traditional film and TV outlet or streaming service. I'd rather they just concentrate on that. I don't want to see video gaming content, user-generated content. You've got YouTube for that, you've got Twitch for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think as well for Netflix, they're in this position just now where they're slowly but surely winning the more traditional filmmakers over to the way they operate things. possibly not Steve Spielberg, but eventually.
No, but Spielberg's been into bed with Apple.
Yeah,
so
he's got an
it's a bit of a
agenda.
hypocrite. Yeah.
But I think, they're in a position just now where I think they do have to be careful. Now, from a money-making point of view, yeah, it makes sense, obviously, to live stream sports and stuff like that, but I think it takes away the essence of what they set out to do to begin with. And I would like to see them. I can hear that rain outside, John. It's absolutely terrible. But I think they have to. I think they should really just stick to their guns on this and just do what they're doing, because it's a successful formula.
It is, Stephen, and look, as you say, they're continuing to attract higher calibre actors and directors. We've got the likes of Ryan Reynolds, the second highest paid man in Hollywood. Getting back time and again, that is ridiculous, that rain, incidentally. It was so stuffy and warm when I was out walking my dog an hour ago, and it was not even a hint of rain, and now it is absolutely battering down. That is Hollywood style rain.
That's Scotland.
It's ridiculous, man. Horizontal rain. Look, I digress, man. You've got Reynolds coming in. He's directing. Well, he's not directing, but he's starred in movies like Seven Underground. He's signed a new deal, I think, to do another movie with them. You've got Dwayne Johnson in there. I think he's working with Ryan Reynolds on Red something. I can't recall the name of it. You've got the likes of Alfonso Cuarón, Martin Scorsese, the Coen brothers. The talent that they are managing to attract over to their service is getting exponentially better year in, year out. The TV shows have always been a strong point with Netflix. Yeah. And they continue to give us intriguing original content. And I will continue subscribing to them as long as they keep that sort of policy, for lack of a better word. Strategy is probably the better word. I don't want to see them spreading themselves too thin. It's like that great quote from Bilbo Baggins: I feel like a piece of butter spread too thin across bread. It feels all hollow and stretched because of the one ring, the ring of power. It's just doing its nefarious shit to him. I don't want to see Netflix doing that. I want to see them just sticking to what they're good at. And they're good at TV content and the odd good movie. Sometimes the odd shite movie as well, but not everyone can hit the ball out the park consistently like a Christopher Nolan, a Denis Villeneuve, or all of the other great directors.
Netflix doesn't have a live facility at the moment, do they?
They do not have a live facility at the moment, no. Not that I'm aware of. No.
But what we want and what we get is a different thing. We'll just have to obviously keep our eye on things, but it'll not be for a while anyway, according to the CEO. They've obviously earmarked their budget for the upcoming future anyway on film, so it's good for us. But we'll move on to
Friends back, please. No, it's not going to be anytime soon, but get it back.
But we'll move on to our last topic, John, of this evening. Is Tenet needs to gross $500 million at box office to break even. Tenet needs to cross the $500 million mark to break even.
$50 million in a week.
On its $200 million budget before marketing costs. It's already made $100 million worldwide. This was obviously coming in from Screen Rant a day ago. So I'm sure those figures have slightly changed. And according to THR, Tenet will open to $20 million in the US this weekend.
You nearly said Tenet there, Steve.
Yeah, I know. Who was it kept saying that again? It was a reviewer. I think it was one of the reviewers on YouTube. I can't remember who it was. But they were
guilty of it.
But Tenet will open to $20 million in the US this weekend, a number many would be worried about under normal circumstances. It is the lowest opening weekend take for a Nolan film since The Prestige in 2006, but in this case it may be a sign that more people are willing to return to the movies than initially thought. The film also grossed $30 million in China and an additional $78.3 million in other international markets, including here. But for the film to make it back its budget, it has a long way to go. It's just open, for crying out loud. Calm down. Before marketing costs, the production budget alone is estimated to be $200 million, typical for a Nolan film, but a cumbersome benchmark in a world where theatres can't fill all of their seats. What's your take on this, John?
I think it will make its money. I don't think there's any issue with it making its money. I've been to see it twice, as you know. Twice in 5 days. The two times I've been, fairly reasonable size theatres. We've had about 20 people in the showing. It's not a huge number of people. It's not what you would be accustomed to when you normally go and see a movie of this ilk in the first week. But it's still a decent number, considering we're in the midst of a pandemic and there's so many showings. There is no competition for this movie in the theatres just now. New Mutants aside, Unhinged, I don't know if that's still hanging around, the Russell Crowe one. But there's no competition, and it's shown, even though it's lesser numbers going to see it because of social distancing, they have so many different screenings of this movie that inevitably it will have legs. People will go and watch it who haven't seen it yet. hopefully, if the situation improves, even more people will go and see it. We've had the CEO, I believe it is, or the executive, whatever the hell he is, from Warner Brothers, coming out and saying this is not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
This is exceptional circumstances we're all living in just now. This is the first movie, big event movie, in the midst of a pandemic, probably ever recorded, to go to theatres. So it's in uncharted waters, and it's going to be a long stint at the box office with people rolling release, open up in more and more markets. We could see in the States, LA and New York finally being able to open up. If they're in a position to allow movies to be seen, then we could see that number go up very quickly, Stephen. They're the two predominant markets in the United States where a lot of film fans are. It's very densely populated. If people have confidence to go back to the theatres, this movie could hit that $450 million mark within the next month and a half, 2 months easily. If not, and it's a slowly rolled out release, then so be it. But I've got confidence it will hit the money it needs. The man always makes his money, man.
I've also got confidence that people will go back and see this film time and time again. It's just a unique plot, you know. And it's
speaking about it today, Steve, it's got great rewatchability.
Yeah, and the amount of theories and, you know, stuff that's coming out after the film's release has been quite surprising, actually. And it's making me think of other things, you know, that happens in that film. Just things little things, you know, that make me see characters in a different light. The Kenneth Branagh character I'm seeing slightly in a different light as well. Yeah. He was portrayed, I'm pretty sure, at the very beginning of the film. I've only seen it once, but obviously, what was the character's name?
It's Sato.
The lady's name?
Kat.
Kat. As he was having an affair with a woman on the boat. That kind of changes things a little bit, because obviously the reveal, spoiler alert, if you've not seen it, so you might want to just switch off.
You didn't spoil it, you just said the reveal.
The reveal being the woman on the boat is actually her.
No, you did do it.
That's why I said spoiler alert, because I knew what I was going to say. So people didn't know what I was going to say, that's why I said it. But that kind of changes my mind on certain things and the way he was portrayed. Don't get me wrong, he was a shit. He was an absolute shit of a man, and deserved everything he got. I'm not saying he didn't, and I'm not saying that he wasn't a womanizer, you know, in committing adultery or anything like that. But in that instance, she misperceived or misread that situation. Honestly, it wasn't her fault.
You've got to also look at the fact that and I believe the Neil theory is absolutely bang on. I believe he's Maximilian, the young son of Kat and Sato. Spoiler alert, yes. But it may be right, it may not be right. It's just a theory. But I believe it's right. And I'm going to get into spoilers here, incidentally. Anyway,
doesn't matter, I've let the cat out of the bag. The woman on the boat's Kat.
But you've got to look at it from this perspective. It's quite poetic in a way that this villain, Sato, says at one point, it's one of my greatest achievements, bringing a son into a world I know is going to end. Yeah. But he's provided Max with the education, the physics master, which has then allowed him to meet up with the protagonist and ultimately reverse things and save the day. Yeah. So he had, in an inadvertent way, he's had a hands-on approach in defeating himself and saving whole of humanity. It's crazy. So you're right, yes, he's an arsehole of a villain, let's be honest. So let's not mix my words here, or mince my words. But he has his upticks. There's some decent sides to him in the fact that he inadvertently makes positive things happen. Stephen, I think it's got great rewatchability, this movie. I think more people will go back and watch it again and again and again. I've seen it twice in 5 days. I don't know if I would go and see it again. I think I might, because I'm just an absolute lunatic, really, and I can't get enough of getting into theatres and watching a movie again and again and again.
That's what happens when you've not been to the theatre in 6 months, though. Yeah, and there's nothing else out, as I did say. There is. What's the next movie that's coming out? Even now, I'm not sure. Is it Bond No Time to Die, or is it Wonder Woman 1984? I don't even know if Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out this year. I still don't know. There was something, John, in regards to Wonder Woman 1984, which I was going to talk about, but it was a possible delay in the film.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It was supposed to come out next month.
30th of September?
Well, the end of this month, sorry. Yes, it's September. So there is rumours that might have a slight delay. I don't know how long, though. I don't know if it's maybe just days or weeks, but I don't think it's a major thing. But it might reverse the release of what comes first between that and Bond. I'm not sure.
Well, Stephen, I'm going to see those two for sure.
Yeah.
Bond, that last trailer there was sublime.
Fantastic.
It really showed me so much of the plot, but not enough that it's given the game away. and just all the action set pieces, man, the Range Rovers flipping and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm on board for those 2 movies, but up until then, there's nothing out, so I may as well go and watch Tenet again. And look, man, that is why I think this movie will make its money in the end. I don't think there's anything to worry about. But it's going up and up and up, Stephen. Did you say $500 million? They're saying it is now. We spoke about this like a week ago, and it was $450 million. I think they're just making the numbers up as they go along. I don't think anyone really has a clue. But what I will say, with obviously all the delays for this movie and whatnot, they've had to re-advertise it.
I don't understand the film, so I don't like it.
Who's
That's the mentality.
It's
John.
exactly, Stephen. We get into that in the review yesterday. I've bluntly spoke my mind and I says these people are idiots. They're not intelligent enough to grasp the concept.
It's the attention span, John.
Yeah, they're not intelligent enough to know what's going on in the script or in the story, and they've not got the attention span to focus on things when there's noise going on around about. I have got the attention span, I've got the intelligence, and that's why I ultimately really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, it was great.
I was kind of tongue-in-cheek with it, but I'm not really. I firmly stand by it. These people that are criticising this movie are idiots. So there you go. That's going to round up my thoughts on Tenet. And on the people, the haters, and there is a lot of haters out there, but screw those bitches, including those little fools over in the United States who are saying, oh, only made $20 million in its opening week.
Yep.
We're in a pandemic, you mugs, and the 2 main markets aren't opened. Come back to us in a couple of months and I bet you're eating your words, you little shitheads. But look, I digress. That's going to round up this show, Stephen, unless you've got anything else to add.
If not, John, I'm signing off.
Yes, what was your thoughts on that Dune teaser or trailer teaser? Is that whetting the anticipatory juices for tomorrow's main event? The first full trailer for Denis Villeneuve's Dune. What is your thoughts on the Mandalorian reintroducing Baby Yoda once again? All those cool little images that came out about it. Are you excited for season 2? Are you excited for the trailer as well? What do you make about Mulan having a sort of uptick in downloads, or creating an uptick in downloads for the Disney Plus streaming service? What do you make about Netflix remaining true to their sort of roots of TV and entertainment and movies and not going off and doing live shows and whatnot? And finally, Tenet. If you anything to say about Tenet in general, do you think it will hit its $500 million mark to break even and make money perhaps? If you've got anything to say at all, you can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. And if you do, you'll see me back for movie news for don't know how long, but it'll be me anyway back doing movie news. And you'll also see perhaps trailer reactions in that period as well. Some pre-recorded, some not so pre-recorded. But look, I digress, guys. If you subscribe, you'll see us, and if you don't, bye-bye. I've done it again. I just cannot get this right. Here we go. Bye-bye. There you go. Hey, bye-bye.